evening, I'm Diane and welcome to ViuTV News. Coming up on tonight's show. Emmanuel Macron wins French presidency, ousting far-right rival Marine Le Pen. State leader Zhang Dejiang kicks off three-day Macau visit to feel how the city is developing. 7 arrested at Kuntong underground music venue for holding concert without working visa. Good evening. France has decided Emmanuel Macron is the country's next leader. The independent centrist defeated his far-right rival Marine Le Pen by a convincing margin. Mia Wormsley has the details.
France has a new president, and his name is Emmanuel Macron. Early projections showing the 39-year-old independent centrist has won the second-round vote, fighting off far-right-wing rival Marine Le Pen and securing the keys to the Élysée Palace. It's been billed as France's most important election in recent times, one which did away with the old left-right divide that has governed the country for decades. Pro-EU leaders the bloc over likely breathing a sigh of relief as France resists the anti-establishment wave that swept Trump into power and brought about Brexit. Macron had been economy minister under socialist president François Hollande. He left to set up his own party, En Marche, just 12 months ago. The strongly Europe-minded ex-banker wants to cut state regulations in the economy whilst protecting workers. But he currently has no representation in the French parliament. And the relative newcomer to politics could struggle to cobble together a centrist majority to push through his programme. Elections in June may see him forced into an awkward cohabitation with the right-wing Conservatives.
Earlier, I asked London correspondent Mariam Bermad, who's been following the election, how the European markets have responded to Macron's win.
Yeah, interestingly, Diane, Europe's stock indexes have actually erased their earlier gains. You know, there's sometimes a tendency among investors to actually react less to a positive outcome than in the build-up to it. So it's pretty anticlimactic. It's a phenomenon known as buy the rumor, sell the fact. So it's really worth remembering that France's CAC 40 index touched a 9.5-year high at the close on Friday. The sell-off today does suggest that markets had been predicting a decisive Macron win, and that building a majority in the National Assembly for the En Marche movement will be where the really hard work begins. And bear in mind, too, that around 13 million people actually abstained in the election or spoiled their papers. Turnout was at its lowest in presidential elections since 1969, and that suggests that there was a little enthusiasm for Macron, but that for many voters, he was the lesser of the two evils. Now, what is being called the third round of the presidential election begins the vote in June for France's parliament, and without an established party behind him, Macron may find it difficult to build a majority to push through his economic policies.
And to local news now, 4 musicians from the US and UK were arrested in a Kuntong underground music venue last night for performing without a working visa. Scuffles broke out at Hidden Agenda when the arrests were made. The 4 musicians, including members of British band TTNG, have been released on bail. Aside from the band members, the venue founder and 2 staff members were also arrested for alleged common assault and obstructing public officers executing duty. State leader Zhang Dejiang kicks off his 3-day visit to Macau today. Zhang is joined by Wang Guangya, who oversees Macau and Hong Kong affairs. The pair was greeted by Macau's chief executive Fernando Choi and former leader Edmund Ho at midday. Zhang said the aim of the trip is to feel and observe how the former Portuguese colony is developing and how well the local administration complies with the central government's commands. In what would be an unprecedented move, Zhang is also expected to meet with Macau lawmakers.
I've been closely watching Macau's development every day, but seeing is believing. Now that I have the opportunity to visit the city, I will have to see more, visit more places, listen to more voices and exchange views with the people here on Macau's different achievements after the handover.
Chief Executive-elect Carrie Lam met with members of the Liberal Party to discuss how best to improve Hong Kong in areas including education and the economy. Felix Chung was among the lawmakers discussing policy making with Lam at her Admiralty office today. Chung felt the future CE was determined to make the city a better place, especially when it comes to Hong Kong's economy, which Lam admitted is lagging behind. He said the party had recommended Lam restart the political reform process within the next 5 years.
We suggest at least she have to reconsider whether to form a committee to have a look at that or not. So she hasn't said no to that, but she always wants to have a very good environmental atmosphere before she started it.
Also meeting Lam this morning was independent lawmaker Michael Tian, who said he was impressed by the CE-elect after their talk. But he ruled out recommending any of his group's members to join her executive council.
Frankly, from what I heard about past EXCO meetings, not everybody has a chance to, speak up and have a sort of dialogue that can be sort of going back both ways. So I believe there are many ways to give our feedback to government.
The CE-elect's guest list today also included 7 members from the Professional Guild who described their meeting as constructive and useful. They said they'd give the new leader the benefit of the doubt.
So she said that she will consider the issue of constitutional reform within her term. That this is not something that could be swept under the carpet. But she does say that the precondition is for society to heal, for divisions to heal before the constitutional reform would be considered.
A computer at the construction site of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge has been hacked, according to the Highways Department. The department confirmed it had been notified by a technician that a server at its office was attacked by so-called ransomware. Some files in the server were encrypted to blackmail the staff for ransom. The staff member immediately switched off the internet connection and reported the case to police. The department said the incident did not affect the project's progress or disclose any personal information. A man has been arrested for stabbing a woman at the district court in Wan Chai. The man was brought to the police car with his hands cuffed behind his back. It's believed he stabbed a woman outside the family courtroom at around 2 o'clock. The victim suffered wounds to her back and her stomach. She was rushed to Queen Mary Hospital for treatment. An investigation is now underway. And up next, the latest from the world of business with Pamela Ambler.
Hello there. Well, it's been all about political risk in Europe as of late for investors. Let's get a check on how Hong Kong stocks reacted to the French election results. The benchmark Hang Seng rose 0.4% to end at 24,577 points. Markets breathed a sigh of relief after pro-EU candidate Emmanuel Macron was elected, but mainland weakness capped gains and gaming shares were down in the dumps after Macau said it would add security features to ATMs around casinos to monitor cash withdrawals. And a trading halt was ordered for Huishan Dairy shares, marking the 6th suspension to be exercised by authorities since 2011. The securities regulator extended the halt that's already been in effect for more than a month as concerns grow over missed loan payments. The move comes after the company lost contact with a key executive in charge of finances and several board members left the firm. The city's exchange operator is set to unveil a new commodity trading platform based in Qianhai this week. The goal is to replicate the London Metal Exchange, which the Hong Kong Bourse already owns. They also hope to connect Qianhai with the LME to attract more investors to be active in both markets. Chinese data show the health of the economy remains on solid grounds for the month of April. Exports and imports rose but missed analyst targets. Domestic and foreign demand weakened along with falling commodity prices, but foreign exchange reserves rose for a 3rd straight month thanks to a pause in the dollar's rally that helped stem capital outflow. And over to Europe as talks between British Prime Minister Theresa May and her counterparts in Brussels got off to a rocky start. Frankfurt has emerged as a destination for several U.S. investment banks. Among them, Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein warns that London could stall as a financial capital because of Brexit. Sierra Lee explains why.
It's an international investment heavyweight, so when Goldman Sachs talks Brexit, the financial industry listens. CEO Lloyd Blankfein says Britain's progress as a financial hub could stall because of the upheaval.
If you cannot benefit from access to the EU from the UK and no one knows what those rules and those determinations would be, then the risk is that there'll be some adjustment that will cause some people to have a smaller footprint in the UK.
Most of the EU's financial markets are currently run out of London, but banks have warned that some of that business and the jobs that come with it may have to move.
Without knowing how things will turn out, we have to plan for a number of contingencies, and our hope is that we don't have to implement anything until we know what it is we have to implement. But if there's no period of time to implement whatever changes are brought about in the negotiation, we may have to do things prematurely, and we'll have to do a range of things as a precaution.
The head of Goldman's international business warned in March that the bank would begin moving hundreds of people out of London even before any deal is struck. But some based in the London market still see the UK capital as a good option for Goldman Sachs.
There's a culture here that's very similar to the enterprise-driven culture in America, and there's just multiple reasons, not least the history of expertise in many industries here that make London still the best financial services option for these big international banks.
Blankfein says the bank wants to avoid cutting as many jobs as it can, adding that in 10 years' time it's still likely that London will be its largest European office.
And stay with us, there's plenty more to come on the show, including South Korea gearing up for crucial leadership race tomorrow.
We are here because